Scary Story Podcast brings original short scary stories right to your ears every week. Like Dead of Night, the story of a man who moves into a new apartment building only to discover its sinister foundation. Or another recent one, Sessions, where the classic tale of an imaginary friend turns even darker. You can join us by searching for Scary Story Podcast on your app right now. It's a show by Scary FM. I'll see you over there on Scary Story Podcast.
Welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. I am Mark Stores, and with me as always is
Rob Morphy.
Robert.
Yes, Mark.
And
Chris.
Chris, hey, what's up?
Chris
too.
What's going on?
It's been a day. It's been a week.
Dude, we've
had day. And
we've had days. We've had weeks. I say at this point we're going on months. Dare I say we're creeping into years?
Oh yeah,
years.
It's been a journey.
Yeah,
let's call it that.
It has. It has.
I mean, a lot of good high points too.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, if it got easier at some point, that'd be cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
No one would complain.
No.
Hey,
Sure.
but we have each other, and we have our friends out there in listener land.
Exactly.
And we have our fun little monster odysseys that we enjoy every week.
And that's what makes the week worth it.
It really is. I look forward to this all the time.
For sure. My Mondays are awful until I get here.
Hell yeah.
Yep. I just got that nice pit where I'm like, is it a heart attack?
Oh no.
Is it a panic attack?
Yeah.
What's going on with my chest? I'm like, no, it's just me being me. All good.
Yeah.
Cool. Yep, just let all that
me because I
worry,
just thought about work
stress.
for 40 hours straight.
Yes, serious.
Maybe you should not do that.
Yeah, no, it's a thing. But yeah, regardless, man, Monday we're here, we're doing it, hanging out when shadows attack a living nightmare.
I love the way you read titles.
Yeah.
That's it. That's exactly the big truck hyperbolic tone that title demands.
Yeah.
Did I get everything?
Oh,
I did.
yeah.
Okay.
Every
No,
word.
that was
Nailed
it.
it.
That was all of it.
Cool. All right, good. Just making sure. I have a tendency to just look, get a little blurry, and then start talking and thinking I'm ad-libbing it correctly. And guess what? I'm not.
Well, that's part of the fun.
It is. It's true.
Correcting you
It
at the
is.
end of it's a new tradition, but we used to just do second takes, but now it's like, nah, fuck it. Keep going.
That's true. All right, well, let's see how we can do this week, boys. In 1986, a boy named Greg endured a night of hellish torment at the hands of a sinister, giggling shadow child, who, while under the watchful eye of its pernicious parent, tortured its human counterpart in what was evidently a diabolical twist on the time-honored tradition of Bring Your Kid to Work Day.
How horrible is that?
That's just, yeah.
It's a
Wow.
bad scene.
Yep, that's yeah. All right, man. You know what, man? We ain't gonna pick it apart. We're just gonna dig right in, baby.
No, that's true. That's true. This account gave me the feels. I've been sitting on this for a while, and it's just something that you put yourself in the kid's place, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had Osmo last week, dude.
Oh yeah, poor Osmo.
Kid. Poor kid.
God.
Yeah. Well, here we are. Let's continue on with.
I hope he's drunk on his couch somewhere right now.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I know. Come on, let me cling.
Maybe he's drunk with Jesus.
Oh,
You never
wouldn't
know.
that be sweet?
Yeah, he's drunk, dude.
Do they drink Jesus' blood together?
Oh, can you imagine?
Oh, I don't know.
Is that the only wine you get?
Oh, that sucks.
Well, no. If it tastes like normal wine, it's just transubstantiation, and you're good, and it's like white ziff or whatever the hell you're into.
Yeah,
I love a good diamond. Chris turned me on to that.
I fucking love diamonds.
Yeah, they're just the sweetest thing ever. As Chris once put it, it's the grapiest grape that ever graped a grape.
Oh yeah.
I
yeah.
mean,
And
The
I've always
Thirsty Owl
quoted
one
him.
is
It's
that-
just.
it is decadent.
So if you're
but-
gonna party, why not with Jesus? Why not in heaven?
I know,
There
but
you
just
go.
think like it was blood though.
Yeah, but we were Catholics. We dealt with that.
Yeah,
And
but
it was just shitty
It was
wine,
never
which
really
was
blood.
almost worse. Yeah.
It was never really blood.
Yeah, I don't think the keg is his fucking vein. I don't
well,
think they tapped his jugular. I mean, you can't swear. You don't know.
yeah. Well,
Now
mean,
we've offended everybody.
well
done.
If I ever get up there, I hope there's some Coors Lights kicking in a little cooler for your boy Mark.
I know this.
No, them's in hell. Them's in hell.
All right.
Rick-
Not even the good hell, the bad hell.
Okay, back in.
All right, here we go.
I humbly submit that there are few things in this world more unnerving than a creepy kid. Not much controversy there. I concede that most children exude an aura of adorable innocence that triggers our natural instincts to protect them. It's one of the keys to humanity's survival, and again, by and large, most kids are cute little urchins whose unbridled mirth can bring spontaneous smiles to even the most die-hard curmudgeons. Not Chris, but most.
Other ones, yeah.
Yes.
Not Christopher.
Yeah.
But there are very few things, like maybe a spider with people teeth, that can send electric chills hurtling. Yeah, think about that one for a while.
I don't want to.
Hurtling down even the sturdiest spines, like the sight of a smug little shit with glassy, malice-brimmed eyes and a disconcerting grin, silently laughing to themselves as if they're privy to a sick little joke that only they can delight in. Counterpoint. Truly damaged kids need nurturing, security, and love. They deserve empathy, and failing that, merit at least sympathy. But there are some among them who, despite or because of all of the hardships they've had to endure, or genetic aberrations beyond their control, or a couple trillion concussion-fueled synaptic misfires, or cause they got the shit end of the stick in both the nurture and nature departments, there are some who will turn out to be, at best, narcissistic sociopaths, and at worst, psychopathic monsters trapped inside a child's body. These kids, whether they are born or made, and sad though their predicaments may be, are at their cores creepy as fuck. Can't deny. You can have empathy and still admit some kids.
Yeah.
There's just some kids who are looking at you with those eyes, and you're like,
There's a vibe.
Fuck. It's the Children of the Corn vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Some Village of the Damn shit.
Got that weird
Yep.
hollow possum eye, and you're like, oh boy.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
boy.
phrase really, that's going to stick with me. That's going to be part
it
of the
should.
lexicon.
It should.
Now what happens when you take this already sphincter puckering situation and add a pinch of the paranormal? And not just any old supernatural spice, but arguably the eeriest and most perplexing of paranatural phenomenon, one involving seemingly intelligent, invasive entities who seem to be always with us, lurking in the darkness, occupying the liminal spaces of our peripheral vision. I am, of course, referring to shadow people.
The bane of the spiritual world.
Yeah, and confusion, really.
Yeah, it did, seriously. Sometimes they got crazy hats, sometimes they don't.
Oh, yeah, there's the Hat Man
There's
version.
the Hat Man
There's
version.
the eyes and smiley version.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
There's a lot of different versions, mostly just silhouettes. But
Yeah.
So what do you get when you take 1 part creepy kid, add 2 parts shadow people, and shake vigorously? A recipe for terror that can turn even the most macho into squirrely, Twinkie defecating shit shows, and it's just such a combination that we have on offer today. The source of this genuinely unsettling account was an episode of Blue Ant Media's Canadian-produced docuseries, Scariest Night of My Life, which originally aired on the Travel Channel, which is where I first saw it, in the late teens. Not my late teens, but the late teens as a decade. It was a show that Blue Ant's parent company, Our House Media, described as terrifying, visceral, and authentic. Victims of extreme supernatural encounters relive the scariest night of their life. On the evening of January 12th, 2018, episode 13 of the first and so far only season of this short-lived show aired. The incident in question appeared in the second of 2 segments titled Fright or Flight. The installment opened on a round-faced man with an earnest expression, a neatly trimmed beard, and black-framed glasses, referred to only as Greg, who anxiously sat in front of the camera and began telling his terrifying tale, one that involved an unnerving series of events which had taken place when he was just a boy back in the mid-'80s. To be specific, the evening of April 26th, 1986. And of course, into the 27th, because it's a long thing. That night was as ordinary as any other for the close-knit family of 4 who lived in a middle-class, likely ranch-style suburban home somewhere in the Canadian provinces. Greg's last name and city of origin were likely left blank so that the witness might maintain some semblance of a normal life in the wake of the highly disturbing revelations that were about to unfold regarding a nightmarish series of events that would forever haunt his memories. Greg's family consisted of his mother and father and his fraternal twin, Jeff. Frustratingly, the boys' ages went unmentioned in the episode, but the casting of the twins suggests that they were likely between 4th and 6th grades, setting them in the probable age range of between 9 to 11 years old. It's a guess, but it's as good as we got. Of his childhood circa the mid-'80s, Greg had this to say. Growing up, we had a fantastic childhood. It was never any issues. Our parents were pretty typical. It was kind of like the typical semi-50s family kind of style home, end quote. As such, schedules were maintained and the twins had a strict 9 p.m. bedtime on weeknights. Being sent off to bed at the nice fucking stroke. Jeez. Oh my God. Whew. Being sent off to bed at the usual time likely triggered a half-hearted chorus of protests from the twins about it being too early, which were, of course, de rigueur in such situations. Nevertheless, after about 15 minutes or so of joking around, ripping off the covers and crawling into bed, Jeff was already sawing logs. Greg, however, was having a tougher time drifting off, claiming that he was kind of half in, half out of it. That's a feeling I think we all know well.
That's me every night.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my God. It's a wrestling match with consciousness. As much as I can't wait to fall asleep.
Fighting myself constantly.
Always. It's terrible.
I have to tell myself to fucking stop.
Yeah.
And then I do it, and then it starts again.
And sometimes you're a dick.
Stop.
You're a dick to yourself, and you're like, "Fuck it, I'm getting up." Then you want it. This is what you want.
Yeah.
And then you get up and start doing things, and then your body gets instantly really tired, and you're like, "Okay, I got it." And you lay back down, and it's like, "Fuck
no,
you."
immediately, yeah.
Because it's a doppelganger. It's your evil fucking twin inside you.
Dude, I just literally lay down. I talked to Nick for a little bit, and then boom.
I would
know.
What
love
a
that.
dream!
It's
What
crazy.
a dream!
By the end of the day, I'm so mentally exhausted. I don't have a choice. Like I'm like, shut it down.
I assure you, buddy.
Shut it down.
If you have the wrong genetics, your mind gives you the choice. You can have a terrible, long, grueling day, and you cannot fall asleep if you're fucked.
Nah, man, I just like a little baby.
Like a little baby.
Not really.
I'm envious of
Not
you, but
really,
of course,
but-
I'm glad it works that way.
Yeah.
But for Chris and I and many others, boy, it's the opposite. So regardless, it was then, as his eyelids were growing heavy, that Greg was startled awake by an unexpected sound coming from the kitchen down the hall. Quote, I wake up to a noise. It's a distinctive noise, and it struck me as odd. It was a plate or cup was being placed on the counter, and it was quite repetitive. It seemed entirely out of place, but I was just pretty much assuming maybe it's my mom or dad that are up making something to eat or cleaning up. But usually at this time of night, everyone's in bed. There's no reason for anyone to be up, end quote. Curious about what was going on, Greg decided to get up and investigate. He crept down the long, dark hallway that turned into the doorway, expecting to bust his parents making a pre-midnight snack, but to his surprise, he found the room to be completely empty. Greg was confused. There's no way his parents could have slipped past him on their way back to their bedroom, as it was situated between the kitchen and his room that he shared with Jeff. So it would have walked right past him. Odd though the circumstances may have been, Greg decided not to waste the trip. Quote, so I go and grab a cup out of the cupboard. I went to the fridge, grabbed the juice, and poured myself a glass. It was when, he set the plastic cup onto the counter that Greg was struck by the fact that the sound it made was nearly indistinguishable from the repetitious noises that had compelled him to go to the kitchen in the first place. So it's like, and he's like, More fascinated than frightened, Greg began repeatedly picking up the cup and setting it down with more force and at faster speeds in order to perfectly emulate the sounds he'd heard. Finally, he got as close as he could to a perfect match, but it still got him no closer to solving the mystery of what had created the sound to begin with. I didn't really know what to chalk it up to, so I went back to bed, he said. As he was plodding back down the hall to his room, Greg's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Quote, just as I'm coming down the hallway, I hear the same sound again. I stop to listen. It's almost like it was a game, like a knock-knock game or something like that. Disclaimer, I have no idea what a fucking knock-knock game is. I know what a knock-knock joke is. I'm not familiar with that
like
game.
Someone like knocks somewhere and then someone like knocks back. I don't know.
Knock,
Maybe it's maybe it's a Canadian
it
thing.
Could be.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll
Not
ask him
sure.
next Dominion Day. Anyway, he continues, as I'm passing my parents' bedroom, I can actually hear my mother say to my dad, did you hear that?
Oh, no.
Greg, unable to resist confirming his mother's observation, burst into his parents' room yelling, you guys heard that sound too, right? To her credit, instead of chastising her son for being out of bed, his mom instantly switched to comfort mode, saying, sweetie, it was nothing. Knowing full well that there was most definitely something causing this repeating, sleep-impeding sound, Greg insisted, "I've been hearing it all night." His father, with logic-defying insistence, reiterated, "We heard the same thing. It's nothing." Fucking dad
That's
logic.
the dad.
Oh, it's so dad logic.
Dude, that shit died with my generation. When Nicole or my kids are like, "Dad, we hear something," I'm like, "Get your shit together, we're going in." I'm like, everybody,
Everyone, panic room.
yeah, I'm like,
Absolutely.
Form a posse. Charles, get your lacrosse
Right.
stick. Evelyn, get ready to distract him with your dance.
You make it a family affair. You make it good. You turn it into laughter. You put them to ease. Because most of the time it is just imagination,
No, yeah.
house settling, all the silly shit that you hate, the cliches. Most of the time that's what it really is.
We have-
but you have to involve them to make them unafraid.
We
Yeah.
had one of those bowls that's like the perpetual water bowl. It's like a little pump that the cat and dog
Yeah.
can drink out of. And it went dry the other week and it started making this crazy noise. And I was in the basement and I heard it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Dad, sign." I'm like, we're upstairs. I'm like, "What is it?" And they're like, "We don't know." I'm like, "Investigation."
Yes.
And then I'm like, the dog's water's out. I'm like, "But you guys all reacted really well.
Yeah.
We had a good reaction time.
Right on.
We're a team.
Wow.
No one's coming in here."
First saving lives at the state fair. Now you're taking care of the dad problems at home. I love that.
There you go, man. There
It's
you go.
fantastic. Wow.
The state fair. Oh shit. Yeah. Jesus.
At which point, his mom lobbed in that hoary old chestnut of parental wisdom. "It was probably just the wind. You're fine." Punctuated with the suggestion/command, "Why don't you go back to bed?" Greg did as he was instructed, but as he walked the rest of the way to his bedroom, he recalled he was thinking that it was crazy to me that they heard it too. When Greg got back to his room, his brother Jeff was now awake and asking him what's going on. Greg dismissed the incident as nothing more than weird sounds coming from the kitchen. As he scrambled into bed, scrunched the pillow under his head, and yanked the sheets up to his chin, Greg began listening to the comforting drone of his brother talking. Snuggled in the warm folds of his blanket, Greg once again felt his eyelids growing heavy. Then, just before slipping into that nebulous state between consciousness and slumber, he noticed that Jeff had suddenly stopped speaking. Glancing over to his brother's bed, Greg was startled by the image he saw. It was not as if Jeff simply drifted off to sleep while talking. No, this was something much stranger. Jeff's eyes were open and unblinking, his hands stuck mid-gesticulation, mouth frozen mid-word. Greg recalled, quote, "We were chit-chatting about the day and what we were going to do tomorrow, and just in mid-sentence he stopped talking. Concerned, Greg began whisper-shouting his brother's name. Jeff! Jeff! But there was no response. Jeff remained stock still, as if for him time had simply stopped. Just before panic could set in, the pressure in the room suddenly and inexplicably shifted, causing the boy's eardrums to bulge in an instance of what is medically referred to as ear barotrauma. Greg more simply recalled, "Just as this happens, my ears pop. It's as if I kind of have this hissing, ringing sensation. Right away it triggers me, like something's off. This is a weird night." End quote. Greg would have no idea just how true or just what an understatement that casual thought would turn out to be. But before we delve back into the harrowing events to follow, let's first take a brief moment to discuss what the boy was going through internally. According to the 21st century's ubiquitous digital doctor, WebMD.com, we feel the sensation of our ears popping, quote, "when the air pressure around you changes. Your eardrum can bulge in or out. The ear popping sensation you feel is your body evening out the pressure in your eardrums. Your ears usually need to pop when changes in pressure are sudden." End quote. Though not exactly common, the often painful symptoms of ear barotrauma have been associated with an array of paranormal events, ranging from close encounters, especially of the fourth kind, abductions, to hauntings, to poltergeist activity. Though not exactly common, the often painful symptoms of ear barotrauma have been associated with a wide array of paranormal events, ranging from close encounters to hauntings to poltergeist infestations, or rarer still, cryptid encounters, quite possibly indicating that among the common causes of ear popping, like flying or diving, we might have to add the opening of a paranormal portal to that list. In fact, according to a 2016 response in a paranormal subreddit, post titled, questions about popping ears and ghosts or spirits, which is the only real reference I could find. A user named Tillanook wrote, it's actually quite common for this to happen around spirits/ghosts. It's theorized that ghosts resonate on a very low frequency. This is why we cannot see or hear them most of the time without them manifesting. But sometimes it can resonate at the harmonic frequency of the human body. This can cause ear popping, upset stomachs, pain, and other things, end quote. WebMD comfortingly adds the caveat that the popping sensation you feel is usually safe for your ears and nothing to worry about. The operative word in that sentence being usually, as in this case, the insidious intruders heralded by this ear-popping sensation would be anything but safe. Back in the bedroom, Greg watched his unnervingly still brother, wondering what had happened to him before he, quote, laid back down, rolling over onto my back. I'm starting to realize that something isn't right here.
Man.
Yeah, starting? You're there, buddy.
Yeah, dude, you're up Schitt's Creek, dog. Turd for a paddle.
Oh, boy. Turd for a paddle.
Turd for a paddle.
It was then he noticed a flicker of movement by the bedroom door. Turning his head, Greg gasped, his eyes bulging out of his skull as a rush of adrenaline surged through his body. Standing in the entrance, just a few feet from his bed, were a pair of slender, abysmally black humanoids that, though they had no discernible eyes, Greg could tell were staring directly at him. More ominous still, though these extraordinary entities had no visible mouths, they seemed to be whispering to one another. In his interview, Greg stated that he was then startled by a series of strange sounds coming from the kitchen. He glanced back at his brother, but though only seconds had elapsed, when he looked back toward the bedroom door, the 3D silhouettes had vanished. Being braver than I ever was as a child, Greg immediately got up and rushed into the kitchen to be confronted by the same lack of evidence that he had met the first time. Though he'd heard a racket, absolutely nothing was out of place. Stranger still, the culinary cacophony had failed to rouse his parents. That's always worrisome. You hear a bunch of crashing and dad's not immediately there.
Right.
And mom, just to be like, what the fuck's going on? Who's out?
Dad! Oozah!
Going up, goddamn dog!
Yeah, that's the first thing you gotta go to.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, my dog enjoys waking the entire house up at 3 a.m. to bark at whoever.
Oh, boy.
And it's always nobody. So it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yes, it is.
He's real fun. Real fun guy, that guy.
Put the dog in the panic room, dude.
Dude, the dog is the panic room. Think about it.
Okay.
We're all the dog. All right.
As he tromped back to his bedroom, it would be safe to say that Greg was concerned. Quote, I heard strange noises from the kitchen, and when I got up to look, nothing was there. I was seeing strange beings. Everything in my gut was telling me to get out of there. Outa was how he actually said it.
Mm-hmm.
Back in his room, Jeff was no longer paralyzed and seemed to be simply asleep. Greg, hoping that his frightening ordeal had come to an end, crawled back into bed for the third time, but no sooner than his head hit the pillow, his visitors returned to their former position. He described the thing, stating, you can't see any features, and one is as tall as the doorway itself. It appears to be a man, seems to be intimidating, just based on its size. It was holding the hand of what appeared to be a smaller child. I've never seen anything like this.
Oh, boy.
So big old tall pops.
Okay.
Little urchin.
Yeah, all right.
His heart now pounding in his chest, Greg could do nothing but stare at these mysterious figures who filled his doorframe, blocking his only route to escape to what he could only pray would be the sanctuary of his parents' bedroom. If the blanket doesn't do it, then you got to pray your parents' bedroom is going to be enough to ward this shit off.
Yeah.
He continued, with my brother being asleep, I'm the only one who's experiencing this. I can't understand what I'm actually seeing. So I'm just trying to take it all in. I'm realizing that this isn't something normal. And as I'm looking and taking all of this in, my ears pop again. And then all of a sudden, just as quickly as they appeared, they just vanished.
That's interesting.
Everything seems back to normal. And I turn over to my brother and say, Jeff, did you see that? Did you see that? Suddenly, Greg's now wide-eyed brother grumpily responded, see what? They were just here. I didn't see anything. What are you talking about? To which Jeff added the infuriating coda, you're dreaming. Go back to sleep. Fucking.
I mean,
It's reasonable, and it might be true.
I mean, if you're in his brother's position, you're like, dude, you're fucking just go
Cut
go
it
to
out.
bed, man.
especially just waking you up. You're just like, you don't want to deal with that. You're
No.
just like, go to bed,
Yep.
Greg.
Hey, Greg, you know what? You're gonna get a GTB. Yeah,
Oh, I got it.
exactly. GTB.
Thank you. Oh, fuck.
The Thunder Rosa is happening outside.
Oh,
Did
is
you hear that? Yeah.
Now that we got thunder and the thunder rolls, are we mid-storm?
We might be.
We're under a flood warning, so let's just pray.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
All right, cool.
It makes your life hell.
Sure shit does. It's all right though. It's all right. Greg.
Yeah, I'd rather not lose this pod and all the videos that we're doing.
Yeah, no, it's true. The
Oh,
electricity
yeah.
could be a problem.
That
Yeah.
would suck.
All right, well, let's boys.
Buckle down.
Edison. Fingers crossed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Tesla.
Yeah.
Better yet.
I know. God damn it.
I know.
What could have been?
I know. We probably would never have been born.
He was murdered. All right, here we go.
Greg was perplexed. Quoting, I'm kind of blown away that he didn't see it. The fear started to kind of creep up on me. I couldn't really fully understand what had just happened, so I decided to get up. I'm going to tell my parents. When I had to cross through my bedroom into the hallway, I was thinking, if I turn a corner, are they going to be there? Are they going to appear there? So, like, just that fear of every turn, which I totally get. Greg rushed down the length of the shadow-ridden hallway and shot into his parents' bedroom, almost certainly startling the sleeping couple, shouting, voice hoarse with panic, about seeing living shadows in his room. To their credit, his parents, being more tolerant than most may have been in the mid-'80s, did not berate him for being a scaredy cat and send him tramping back to his room. His mother attempted to assure him that there was nobody there but his brother, reiterating those time-worn sentiments that he was safe and nothing was going to get him, either in the real world or from the catacombs of his overactive imagination. At which point, as most parents eventually do, they sent him back to bed. This did not sit well with Greg, who claimed, I'm kinda at that point where I don't want to go back, but I have to turn back and go to my bedroom. The only bit of solace I have is at least I know my brother's in there. As Greg sank into his soft mattress for a fourth time, he noticed Jeff still stirring under the covers. The frightened boy once again asked him if he'd seen the shadowy figures looming in the doorway, but once again, his brother insisted that there was nothing there, and it was all in his imagination. Quote, trying to explain it was just as crazy as it sounds. It was upsetting to me. Maybe I just had a bad dream, you know? It's just my mind playing tricks on me. So I kind of almost believe it didn't happen. It's easier to believe that it was just a dream. I decide, all right, this is enough. I'm just going to close my eyes and fall asleep. End quote. And sleep does finally claim the exhausted child. But any hope that Greg had that these abominably black entities that had been staring at him were nothing but a dream would be dispelled with a vengeance as the clock struck 2:22 a.m. And there's something about all the same numbers. I know a lot of people make wishes.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
But there's a lot of paranormal triggers, sometimes at 2:22, very often at 3:33. That I see over and over again. Sometimes 11:11.
11:11 is the big one for me.
Yeah. I often happen to glance at the clock when all the numbers correspond. I don't necessarily attribute it to anything paranatural, but I do find it odd. Like, it sometimes doesn't happen to me for weeks, and then sometimes every time I happen to glance at the clock, it's 11 fucking after, or it's the same digits, not just 11 after. 11:11, 3:33, 1:11, so forth.
Synchronicities.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of those things, except that it maybe plays into, I don't know, we're all a fucking figment of some computer epic imagination or whatever. What do they call it? The synthetic unit? What do they call it? Simulation. Yeah. Thank you. I was drawing
synthetic universe is kind of cool too.
Yeah, that's what we're redubbing it. Rebranding.
Right, cool. There you go. Rebrand.
A theory that was never ours.
Yeah, that's fine. It's ours now.
All right, so 2:22 a.m. Quote, I had my eyes closed, maybe only for a minute, and then my ears popped again, and I knew that something was going to happen. And I'm in a panic because I don't want to have to deal with what this is. Isn't that like the understatement of the world?
Well, yeah.
Like, no, not this.
Yeah, no.
Not now.
I don't have time. It's 2:22. I don't have time for this.
This poor fucking kid.
This sucks.
He's got a test tomorrow, probably.
Dude.
There's something off about this thing entirely, he continues. I'm now far more nervous than I was before. So I open up my eyes, and again, they're right there. So I pull the blankets over the top of my head, thinking, I can't see them. They can't see me. This blanket is somehow going to protect me from what's going on. Maybe I'm still dreaming, or who knows what it is. Greg noted that his brother was once again immobile in his bed, eyes open, staring blankly at nothing. Nearly petrified, Greg digs down into his last reserves of courage and, praying that they vanished like they had before, he slowly pulls the blanket down to the bridge of his nose. But, quote, as I slowly take the blanket down, they're still there. The largest shadow appears to let go of the hand of the small child. The child starts frolicking towards my bed. This thing is wanting me to come play, and I don't want any part of it. Everything my gut was telling me was to get out of there. And then it starts skipping, making its way to the side of my bed, towards my shoulder, towards my head. Fuck.
Dude, this
that would have ruined my childhood.
Yeah, no,
100%.
Yeah.
Like childhood over. I'm a man now. I would have bought some flannel and an axe. I'm like, Mom, I'm going to the forest. I deal with lumber now.
Gotta get a pack of bots.
I don't sleep.
That Marbs.
Yeah, get some Marbs.
Absolutely.
Some grizzly chuve.
I drink myself to sleep every night, so I can't feel or see anything.
Yeah, this kid has got a lesson in manhood real quick. Jesus,
it's a tough 11-year-old fucking
berry trauma with nicotine and booze.
Yeah,
yeah. By the way, for the record,
hat.
If you're a kid out there, that's terrible advice.
Yeah, this is what
get some help.
We're telling you what not to do.
44 Magnum.
Oh my god.
Yeah, three of them. It
was then that Greg realized he too was frozen where he lay. He understood that this wasn't merely being petrified with fear, but something unnatural acting on his body, making him incapable of flight or fight, and absolutely susceptible to anything these beings might be inclined to do. Quote, now I can't move. It's as if something had shut me down. I'm trying with all my might to actually move, to call out to my parents, and it turned sharply towards my face. It's almost unbearable. I don't know what's coming next, because it's getting closer to me, right up to my shoulder and head. This thing was getting invasive. This is bad. This is not going to end good. The terror was even worse because there's nothing I can do. I can't move. I can't even scream. All I can do is move my eyes to the point where I think I couldn't even breathe, and then it starts to talk. The creature leaned in close to Greg's ear, and in what he described as a, quote, high-pitched, disgustingly creepy, screechy, maniacal voice, the horrible thing simply said, I'm not going to hurt you. It then giggled in that same terrible tone and repeated over and over, I'm not going to hurt you. Greg was beside himself. Quote, I've never heard anything like this before. I haven't heard anything like that ever since. This thing's actually talking and I can actually hear it. This thing's going to talk to me. Why is that the first thing that it says? And I didn't believe any of it. Everything inside, all the alarms were going off inside like I have to get out of there, but I can't move. I can't even turn my head away to look away from this. End quote. Sorry. Fucking,
I'm all caught up, dude.
I know. I was into it too, and I'm
God.
I didn't make a paragraph space, so that was fucking a little abrupt.
Dude.
All the while, the sinister, giggling shadow child, in his almost taunting, sing-song fashion, kept repeating, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you.
I don't like this thing.
Quote, everything is telling me I'm not dreaming. I wish I was dreaming. And I can still see the entire room. I could see the hallway. I could even hear the house kind of settling. The bigger one didn't seem to do much of anything. I don't know if he was just looking on, ? Like he just doesn't know what's going on. And even while that's entering my head, I'm still thinking, what's this one going to do? Because at first I was far more intimidated by the larger figure, but this child, or whatever it was far more terrifying than anything, end quote. Just as he lay frozen, trying to prepare himself for the worst, quote, all of a sudden my ears pop. Fuck. Everything's back to normal. Oh, it's not a fuck. It's a good one. And I could actually move. I pop right up and bolt right into my parents' bedroom, end quote. Likely on the verge of tears and terrified beyond belief, Greg exploded into his parents' bedroom, swearing that the shadows were back and talking to him in a most disturbing fashion, though I'm sure he placed it in a different set of words.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of their tether, Greg's officially frustrated parents were done indulging what they were convinced was just their son's imaginary night terrors. This time, his mom escorted the youngster back to his bedroom to make sure he got settled in properly and, perhaps being a bit more sympathetic to his plight than his father had been, gently kissed him goodnight. Quote, "She brought me back to bed. Now Jeff's awake again. He's alarmed at how afraid I sounded, so I tried to keep him awake for a few minutes as we talked back and forth." End quote. Jeff, now both intrigued and frightened by his brother's bizarre outburst, began asking Greg what the creatures looked like. Greg explained that there was a tall one and a short one, but they were not so much people as shadows, living shadows. Greg then told his brother that the little one ran over and skipped towards his bed. Jeff, with a kind of understanding that perhaps only twins share, told his brother that he believed him, but insisted that he saw none of the shadows that Greg was so insistent were real. And then, just as suddenly as it had happened the previous two times, Jeff froze mid-sentence, eyes glazed and staring at nothing, compelling Greg to believe, quote, "Either he's falling asleep or he's messing with me."
Oh, boy.
Which is classic, twin or older or younger even brother fucking territory.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That would be a dick move if that's what Jeff was up to. Then a jolt of ice water shot through Greg's veins as his ears abruptly popped again. He knew that he was in for another confrontation with these insidious beings, and he was overwhelmed with a surge of horror. Quote, "My heart's pounding because I know what's coming. I don't want to do this again." End quote. Greg began shouting a warning at his brother. Jeff, they're coming." I'm saying, "Jeff, are you awake? Wake up." And I get nothing. I'm afraid of what's going to happen next. And then the figures appear in the doorway, and I was entirely frozen again. I can't do anything at all. And then he starts proceeding this way, coming to the side of my bed, and there's nothing I can do. End quote. Then, though he likely prayed it would never happen again, Greg's ears were once again filled with the tiny being's spine-chilling, mirthless laughter. Quote, "I can barely even breathe, and it's as if he's right in my ear, and it didn't feel good at all."
Oh, God.
No shit, poor kid.
Yeah, Jesus.
All the while, the big shadow figures in the doorway. And then all of a sudden, the bed depresses on my hip. It's on top of me. I can feel the hands were cold. The fingers were long, and they were coming into my stomach. I don't know if they were trying to get at me or in me. Oh my God, it's terrible.
Okay.
I couldn't tell. It was horrible. I'm trying to yell, but nothing would come out. As it was, the first time I ever thought I was going to die. I've never felt more helpless. This was it. No one can help me. I actually remember kind of choking for air, trying to reach out for, I don't know if I just clammed up and held my breath out of sheer panic at this point, but just when I couldn't take any more, my ears pop again and everything's gone. Everything's back to normal. That's fucked up. So he's in a panic, and obviously when he's even reciting this decades later, he's still, you can tell his words are jumbled and frightening.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is traumatizing. Jesus.
I mean, how could it not be?
God.
But now it's on top of you. It's just got those long, Vanta black inky fucking digits pushing, and it's almost like it's trying to get so deep it's trying to get inside you, but it's hurting like hell. All the while he's still singing, "I'm not gonna hurt you," in that fucking evil, maniacal, fucked up voice of his. That's fucking just literally nightmare fuel.
No, this is awful. This
Yeah.
is terrible.
He continued. "Suddenly," quote, "I realize I can move. My stomach hurts. I'm finally just now gasping back for air. I can breathe. It feels as if I was being choked. I lift up my pajama shirt and I can see like abrasions all around my stomach." Makes me think of poor fictional Reagan in The Exorcist. The not so fictional individual that it was based on. Greg lurched up in bed, clutching his abdomen in agony. As had happened so many times before during this interminable hell night, Jeff was now awake and alert and aware of his surroundings. He looked at his brother with genuine concern, asking him what had happened, but Greg, still gasping for breath, couldn't utter a word. As soon as he caught his breath, he launched out of bed and ran back to his parents' room, leaving his terrified brother behind. Poor kid. He shot down the now ominously sprawling corridor, which almost certainly took on the tenor of a German expressionist nightmare a la Fritz Lang, between his room and his parents. And for the third time that evening, I think I got that right, he exploded, I don't know what metaphor or what word to use at this point, into his parents' room, this time definitely waking them up from a sound sleep. Quote, "I'm hysterical, and I could tell how my mom reacted that it was more of, oh, here we go again." But before they could take their frustrations out on their slumber-stealing son, the look of total terror in his eyes told them that this was no joke. His mom and dad immediately got up to see if he was okay. Greg, tears running down his cheeks, screamed that he was hurt, insisting he'd been attacked by what he now referred to as ghosts. And though his parents may not have believed his interpretation of the situation, it was clear to them that their son had been attacked, but by whom or what they had no idea. Greg added that, quote, "I could see my mom was actually panicked. They let me stay in the room for the night, and it was, as per obligation of being on the show," he says, "the scariest night of my life," end quote, which, fuck, as I say, it is, in fact, the scariest night on record, very likely.
Yeah.
As to, and this is an important thing to discuss, what shadow people actually are, that's a subject that deserves its own dedicated series. And at some point, we'll tackle it, sort of like we did the ultra-terrestrials, just try to break it down, give everyone's idea. But here's a general roll call. The theories range from the dearly departed and free-range astral projections to interdimensional interlopers and old-fashioned ETs using some kind of cloaking tech that not only camouflages but allows them to move through solid matter, a trick that the Greys have clearly licked, as they're all the time floating through fucking solid shit, and can induce that same thing in their, abductees. These sometimes sinister, almost always frightening fiends have been reported in paranormal lore for centuries, and though their agenda may be unclear, it seems as if their sphere of influence is spreading, and many of these off-putting encounters are just the first indicators of what, God forbid, may become a full-scale onslaught of horror. So I wrap this up quick. We had a lot going on today, and I didn't maybe give the outro it fully deserves, but the gist of it is we will deal properly with shadow people at some point, though we must talk about it a little bit now. And there are very common tropes, like not necessarily ears popping, but like the being, induced paralyzation.
That's the one
paralysis.
that I'm most familiar with, like the paralysis part of it.
Though that often seems to be associated with old hag and, of course, alien abductions.
Right.
See, I am not, I'll be the first to admit, I'm not super up on shadow person lore. So I know they come in different forms. I know that they show up and they scare the fuck out of people, that they generally seem to have a malefic air about them. What I didn't know is that they often induced, a state of being frozen, paralysis of, its victims.
Yeah, no, I've heard plenty of accounts where people are like in their bedroom or, like sleeping, and the thing comes in and they're just like stuck.
Yeah.
Like you can't move.
Right.
So what's super interesting and terrifying about this is not only is you have one shadow person, you have this like little small shadow person.
Right.
You're getting warnings when they're going to be there.
Yeah.
The whole ear popping pressure change, which is also very reminiscent of John Edmonds, who whenever the Greys would show up, he could feel the
pressure,
the barometric pressure adjust. He's
right.
like, and then he has his sword and all this stuff.
This is interesting.
This kid has like a warning system, but it's kind of useless because as soon as they're there, you're froze anyway.
Yeah.
So
the warning system, if it gave you like even 10 seconds to prepare. Also,
too, the warning system is his brother freezing mid-sentence.
Yeah.
So like whatever this thing is, you're getting your brother freezing, you're getting your ears pop, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're there. So, which is like almost like I mean, it's, whatever, like coming into our reality, making themselves manifest, doing something which is causing this environmental change. And apparently his brother freezing, which is, you'd think it wouldn't.
And presumably
freeze one
maybe
kid,
his parents too.
His parents. The whole
really
place.
know,
The dog's frozen. Like
sure.
That, just
right.
stuck. Yeah, just totally stuck. But
mid-arf.
Yeah, seriously.
So What could do that? That's the thing.
This has a lot of interaction with them, though, like a super ton of interaction where like it's skipping, it's like whispering in his ears with some weird like sing-songy type voice, like some weird like high-pitched harmonic thing, which is like, to me, I'm like, oh, interdimensional beings, and that's how they sound when they're talking through dimensions. That makes zero sense.
Well, it doesn't.
It makes no sense.
It makes no less sense than any other theory that would apply to interdimensional beings.
One of those thoughts you have that I probably shouldn't say, but like it comes to your mind, you're like, oh yeah, no, of course they're interdimensional. That's how they would sound when they're coming to our dimension. I'm like, I have zero basis for anything.
Well, of course,
but
but fuck it.
I have basis for nothing.
This part of the pod is speculation.
Yeah,
and that's what we do.
It just, I think it's just terrifying. It's unnerving, and just the fact that like there's a bigger one.
Yeah,
that doesn't help.
One, and you're going to
not just a bigger one, but like a door frame sized
one that's enormous. Yeah.
So that's definitely disconcerting. So there's a lot of things that bother me. But first, I feel obliged, as I often do, maybe in a case of devil's advocacy, to suggest that just because it sounded terrifying, maybe this thing just wanted to play. Now the poking, that's a something else. Bad Italian there. I don't know why I said it that way.
That's a poking.
That's a poking.
That's a something else.
Yeah,
Jesus
no,
Christ.
this thing.
But that's bad scene. But maybe it was just trying to induce him to play. He wouldn't play. Like there are some kids that have been through some stuff that might, be inviting you to play, and if you don't indulge them, they take it out in terms of bullying.
Oh, so
especially way back in the day.
The shadow kid just being a douche.
Just being a douche.
Yeah,
I'm saying we got to put it on the table. I don't think it's the case. I think there's something bigger going on. But what? All right, first off, like you say,
what?
It didn't.
What?
It didn't happen before.
No, it didn't.
It apparently never happened since, at least in between that and the time he gave the interview to the TV show.
That's even more.
Yeah, so you just had one night
of unrelenting horror.
Some weird thing shows up. Dude, I don't know if I would ever sleep normally ever again. I'd be scared constantly.
I mean, I was scared constantly already as a kid, and it was only moving on, getting older, I don't tween or whatever it would be, just preteen, that I started like getting my shit together, becoming a young man. But if I had this experience, I would have been. I don't think I'd be sleeping now. I think it'd be all no dose capsules and fucking nonstop, espresso shots.
A whole night. It's different between like you have one thing where like I saw some shit in the closet.
Yep.
And it's still a little murky rain.
Yep.
But like something like this, that's just like
right. And plus, I was pre-K when I saw that fucking crazy shit in the closet. So I mean, I have no problem in my rational mind chalking that up to a fucking dream.
Yeah, sure.
And I think most people that when they're young and have paranormal experiences have no problem doing it. It seems weird to me that Greg, while he's in the midst of it, is trying to chalk it up to a dream. But that leads us to something we have to discuss, like fucking the devil and diabetes, always on the table. He was almost falling asleep most of the times before he had these interactions.
Yeah.
Okay, so skeptically speaking, it could be sleep paralysis, could be some weird dream,
right?
Like some weird like half dream state or something. So yeah. I mean, that's definitely a possibility.
But what for me throws the monkey dick into the works of that is the fact that he seemed to be so conscious in other times and had definite interactions with his brother and his parents, who presumably remembered them. Like if the next day you're like, I don't remember you coming in my room, I don't remember this, then all right, the dream goes up in credibility. But it's presumably they know and they've talked about it and it's fucking weird. And even Jeff's freaked out by the end. Nothing freaks Jeff out, evidently.
Yeah. Well, he's constantly paralyzed.
Yeah. So you don't know.
He has the luxury of just being paralyzed.
Yeah, he's the lucky one.
Yeah, when these things show up.
Oftentimes, like, all right, this is a terrible analogy, but like people have done terrible experiments on twins to see if one and one doesn't. I mean, could this be some like, I don't know, interdimensional scientist trying to be like, we're tormenting one, we let one sleep? They're not identical twins, so it doesn't make as much sense. Because it's so hard. One event, one night,
right?
Repeated performances. Pressure is changing.
Yeah.
Pressure is changing in the way, like if you're driving through the mountains or however it changes, but a sudden pressure change, and it's always happening before their entrance and right before their exit.
Yeah.
So something is fundamentally changing. I don't know if it's a portal opening. I don't know if that, I mean, again, like you mentioned sagely in John Edwards' case, he was constantly feeling pressure changes before things happen. So maybe this is indicative, and maybe it's not brought up that often.
Paranormal entity traversing into our world or something like that.
Why this kid? Why this night? Was it just like a play date? Was it literally him from an alternate world and the shadow version came in and just wanted to hang out, but maybe, excuse me, almost burping there, but maybe like the bizarro version of him was like just sort of a dick, whereas Greg was just basically a nice kid. Or maybe Greg was a dick. We honestly don't know. He could have been a fucking schoolyard bully. Maybe it was just him getting his just desserts. Maybe somebody he bullied died in a car accident the year before and with his dad, and they came back to get revenge because like, Dad, I got one dream. I want to come back to Earth. I want to make fucking Greg suffer because he made me cry a lot and he beat me up on the playground. He was a real dick. He was always a real dick. And he's like, buddy, it's poke time. It's poke o'clock. Let's fucking get revenge.
We're going to do this all night.
We're going to go to the afterlife, but before we do it, we're going to pray. And he had a whole year of like Rocky montage, Rocky 4 montage, poking shit, poking bags of flour, poking all sorts of shit.
Climbing snowy mountains.
Yeah,
exactly. 2-fingered.
Wow.
Up the mountain. And then finally he was ready with full poking potential.
Yeah.
And he fucking came at that kid. He's like, I'm not going to hurt you. Because it might have been the same shit he was chanting to him on the playground. Because I've had bullies when I was a kid say, oh, what's wrong? I'm not hurting you. Or when the big kid, when you're 7 and this fucking 14-year-old comes up and starts punching you in the face with your own hands. Like, why are you
why hurt yourself? Yeah.
So it's
fucking douchebag.
My favorite one.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly
classic.
This kid bullied some other kid who died.
Just throwing ideas out there.
I mean, it's quite the idea.
That's the one circumstance where I wouldn't be at all upset. Greg wasn't permanently hurt. He learned a valuable lesson. Probably stopped bullying people. Of course, I don't think that's really what happened.
Nah, I'm going to say probably
just throwing it out there.
All right, no, fair.
Yeah.
Every idea is relevant.
Sure.
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, God, this is like this shadow person experience in particular really is unsettling, just with the interactions.
Targeting a specific child who was very likely innocent.
Yeah,
and
it's just like
and repeatedly like mentally torturing, and it almost seems as if they're popping in, they're getting sucked back. Like maybe it's not even their control, and they're like, "No, I want to come here and do that." And they come back, and then they boom. I think it happened like 3 times where they popped in.
Yeah,
because
they're not there for like an extended period of time. They kind of like pop in, they're there. They come in. His brother's froze, ear pops,
right?
Do their shit, come back. So it's kind of like
brief glance the first time, a longer look the second time,
like almost like Greg's going in and out of it.
Like,
and
then finally the chanting, the poking.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's a Jeff thing. Maybe it's a manifestation of Jeff. He's the one that always freezes first, then a pop, and then he's
a bullying brother. But because that would tie in with what I mentioned earlier. Like one of the assumptions about shadow people is that they could be astral projections and how they manifest.
Interesting.
So if he was kind of a dink of a brother and was just fucking with him, I don't know who the dude is who's like fucking 6.5 feet tall or however tall doors are.
Yeah,
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he was into some sci-fi. I mean, there's all kinds of things you just don't.
Sure. Oh yeah, there's a billion factors we can't possibly.
Astral projection is kind of interesting though. That is kind of something that's.
And you can't take demons off the table either.
No, you definitely cannot take the demon.
Because just
table.
why in that room? And what you know what I mean?
Why
like,
just in that room?
Yeah.
Why just that kid? Why? I
I'm
think
not
3 times
from earlier, but
oh yeah. But you have to, actually, because I'm glad I wasn't thinking about it. Like,
sure, but that's
what's distracting him into the kitchen, and then the noise that distracts him the second time is when they disappear.
Yeah.
Was that meant to cause a distraction?
I don't know.
And that's even weirder because the kitchen's down the same fucking hallway, which is why I presumed it was a ranch-style house. So your kid's going to look that way at a sound that comes from that way.
Right, yeah.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah, dude, the whole thing is unnerving. And I'm hoping he's able to sleep again. I would just be on, like, every time my ear popped,
Pins
I would just
and
be
fucking needles.
Yeah, I would never go on airplanes. I would never go up big, small hills, whatever.
Right. First of all, I'd be sleeping on the couch and not with Jeff and see what happened.
Right.
Because, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it didn't, then be like, well, and then you go back in and it happens again. Like, well, maybe it is Jeff.
I mean,
Jeff's the problem.
There you go.
Can't rule it out.
Jeff's
Though every time you say Jeff, I'm assuming the fucking
Jeff.
one from the Isle of Man.
When he said Jeff originally, I was like, oh shit.
Oh, so it's an interdimensional interloper.
Okay, sweet, awesome.
But no, I get what you're saying. I absolutely do. But now he's got, I mean, he has to have, like Mark was sort of hinting at, a Pavlovian response to ears popping. Like, say, even if he's on an airplane or something.
Sure.
If your ears pop from that moment on, you're going to be scared shitless.
Yeah, any pressure change, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
like you're screwed, man. Which I get. I mean, that's like what this kid went through was just terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Damn. Well, man, hopefully he's out there and he's, hey, he made it on a TV show. Hopefully he's doing all right.
Yeah, he's talking about it. He seems well adjusted.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
all of this from
It's
a
all-
brief I didn't interview him. It would be, maybe I don't usually try to track people down, but maybe it would be worth it to try to track him down, even though he was completely anonymous, because I would love to know all of these things. I don't think it was a dead victim of bullying. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but it is something that you would really like to get into his life, like what's going on. Apparently his parents weren't big at fighting.
Right.
Poltergeist manifestations usually come around with pubescent girls,
Sure.
especially in tumultuous environments. Less so with boys, but occasionally. They would have been the right age for it. But, I mean, poltergeists don't usually show up physically,
Right.
full
No,
torso
or-
apparitions, if you
yeah.
will, and they don't, they can attack, I guess, but that's not usually their
Yeah,
MO.
these are two formed beings, a big one and
Yeah.
a small one, and that thing's skipping and being all kinds of weird, creepy shit to him.
Mhm.
So, all right, man. Well, there it is. When shadows attack, a living nightmare.
Truly.
Good luck sleeping, folks. You're going to need it. And Robert, let's thank the people
Oh, yeah.
that support us at Patreon. Patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast.
Phenomenal website, phenomenal supporters, like everyone that supports us. Honestly, I can't thank you enough. All the listeners out there, fucking thank you. Thank you for just being there. Thank you for the kind
man.
comments.
Tuning in every week, we appreciate it.
And
man.
those that hook us up, fucking give us a little dividend. That is fucking amazing. You keep this ship afloat, and we cannot do it without you. And we thank you profoundly, profusely, and in every other P word.
Perfunctorily.
Well, no, that's kind of dickish. Perfunctory, like a little. It's a little curt, like.
Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
gotcha.
get a little shit. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
We profusely,
Profoundly,
profoundly,
peripherally, but we're doing it
directly.
directly this time.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and proactively. Thank you.
I actually pride myself. I'm a better human thesaurus than that, but not today. Today we're just thanking Sewn by Dragons.
Thank you, Sewn by Dragons. We appreciate
I
it.
hope they're a seamstress. I hope they make sweet dragons.
But
even if they're not,
hopefully they do.
great name.
There you go.
Kelly Pratt.
Hell yeah, Kelly. Thank you.
Kyler King.
Thank you, Kyler.
That's a
King.
dope name.
Hell yeah.
Never heard that before.
I like it.
Ben S. Stewart.
Thank you, Ben. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben. Crypto Yodi. That's
Crypto Yodi.
one word, capital YOTIE. Crypto Yodi.
I love it. That's awesome.
That's cute. Ethan. Oh, I'm going to get this one. Olila. Ethan Olila.
Yeah, that works. Thank you,
think
Ethan.
That could be.
We appreciate it.
Say it. Said it wrong. We'll say it again. Just let us know.
There you go.
Scolbio.
Scolbio.
Oh my
what
God. It sounds like
up?
something that gets in your knees. I like it though.
I got a case of the Scolbios.
Oh my gosh.
Just go on my spine.
Yeah,
There
you
it
do.
is.
Me too. Parker Stats.
Thank you, Parker.
2 A's. Dope. Matthew Strode.
What up, Matthew?
Oh, Matthew Strode.
Matty Strode.
I like it.
Last, never fucking least, Mothman.
Boom.
about fucking time.
About
time off,
Yeah, we've been
man.
extolling your virtues for a
We gave you
long fucking
How many
time,
fucking
bro.
episodes?
We got that goddamn 6-part series, which is a megapod that's 8 hours
Who else?
long.
Who else has given them the sympathetic ear of showing him as the sad cryptid on the rooftop?
Yeah.
He's just looking for love.
That's right.
Alone in a world he never made. And no,
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about Howard
Crying
the
in the
Duck again.
gutter.
Nice. So there it is. Thank you for your continued support over there at
Yes.
patreon.com/Cryptonaut
best.
podcast for all your bonus audios, bonus videos. You can watch us do this pod. You get bonus episodes on Sundays.
So
and also,
exciting.
too, if you're on the $10 tier, you get the bonus videos during the week. So again, that is patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. There is a 7-day free trial. A lot of people sign up to check it out, and a lot of people convert over because they're like, this is super cool. I want to keep going.
That's awesome.
So you can check all that out
Yeah,
there.
there are so many pods. It's like a whole other, like adjacent pod that's
Oh, yeah.
a little looser, if that's even possible.
No, we got like 200 or something episodes.
It's amazing, like how deep it is.
Yeah, no, we're at like 270, I think.
That's
Yeah,
fucking
so-
nuts.
Did you see the light start to flicker
Yeah,
over there?
that
me
one
too.
completely. Well, that
All
one's
right.
been going. I think that bulb's going, but
Oh,
Well,
boy.
bulbs go, but
Yeah.
sometimes that is the sign.
No, dude, what if our ears popping all of a sudden?
Oh,
there's
yeah,
like
no, that's-
3 dudes, and they're like, "Don't be afraid of us."
That-
Like,
that
"Oh,
was-
no."
I just pray it gets captured on video and
Is
the
it-
$10 tier can watch
Is
it.
it Shadow Us?
Yeah,
'Cause I
you-
just saw-
Oh.
yeah, I just saw more things flickering. The Instas, the Twitters, and the Facebook. Follow us in the socials of the medias. Like, comment, DM, do all that stuff. We got all kinds of short form videos happening all over the place, so be sure to comment on those. Like, whatever, hit the subscribe button, smash, upvote, comments. We got merch.
Yeah, we do.
Hellerspace.com. We recently have a new storefront for our TeePublic shop. Check that out. It is going to be on sale all month long.
Mhm.
The entire month is going to be on sale, so check it out there. And again, that's Hellerspace.com. It is still powered by TeePublic, just a brand new storefront. So there's all that information. Do with it what you will, and we will be talking with you soon.
Indeed, we will.
Goodbye.
Look forward to it.
Good luck sleeping, and have a nice Monday.
Yeah, this is tough. If you listen to it to go to sleep,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Not the episode.
Hopefully it works.
Yeah,
honestly,
geez.
it unnerved me.
Yeah,
like,
no.
when I haven't written in a while. It's not because I was avoiding it, like I was too scared, but I was just like, oh man,
It's funky.
that's an icker.
Yeah, it's
It is an
definitely,
icker. Yeah.
super icky. Super icky. All right, well, you know what? There it is.
The Poking Dead.
Be talking to you.
All right.
Bye.
Peace.